But I just, the idea was just running.
This is how the pitch on there. My name is Caly, and I have only really been trying to teach myself to play theremin for a year or two. My background is music, so I can read music. I'm a classically trained saxophonist, and I play some piano. And I'm got into digital audio and synthesizers and stuff like that. So really, this is kind of like the perfect Venn diagram for me of like synthesizer nerdery and like early electronic music nerdery. So really, I didn't want to like come and steal this show. Really, I just like it's a really unique instrument, and people find them fun to play with. So please feel free to come and putz around with it and ask me any questions you want. Yeah, I don't know, in terms of like being able to have this at your disposal for thinking about scoring and composing, I just kind of wanted to use this opportunity to manage expectations about what my limitations as a performer are, which is, I would say, kind of pretty significant, and then what kind of the limitations are of this instrument, what it's good at, what it's not great at, and answer any questions, I guess. So, does anybody want a history lesson on this guy at all?
Yeah, do it.
Because it's kind of fascinating. This thing was invented, not this one specifically, but the theremin was invented by a Russian scientist in 1920. And he was actually like kidnapped by the KGB and like invented this accidentally while doing research for listening devices. It's insane. Look up Leon Theremin if you want some crazy reading. He meant it to be like a virtuosic classical instrument, and sold it on kind of this, anybody can play it, it's super easy. That's a lie. It's incredibly difficult to play well, but it's also really easy to make wooey noises. So if you want like sci-fi wooey noises, this will do it really easily. Amazing. Things that are more intentional get more difficult. Portamento is really idiomatic for it. Things that are tricky for it are difficult, like intervallic jumps. So anything like significantly over an octave can be pretty tricky. Accuracy and staccato is tricky. So I'm totally fine with doing kind of, I also largely just improvise things. So if you're a composer and you're just like, I just kind of want some wooey stuff around this harmonic area, like, yeah, I can totally do that for you. If you want a very virtuosic, like, staccato passage that is very correct, no. You can do it, but you'll be disappointed in my performance, I'm pretty sure.
What is the tessitura of it, the range?
The range, let's see, this one it's programmable too, so it might be over this, but it looks like it's like C8 and C2 to C8, about thinking in like the MIDI notation. This is my second theremin. I have one that is considered more of a classical theremin that's not a synthesizer engine. That one, I think the range is a little bit higher. And that one also has a little bit more of like a rich, like analog, kind of traditional sine wave sound that you might consider more like if you've watched The Day the Earth Stood Still, like it's going to be more like that. This also is like the little built-in practice speaker is not going to do this a whole lot of favors, but the cool thing about this one is that it also has a synthesizer engine built into it. Depending on how much of a theremin snob you are, some people are like, oh, it's a theremin, it's not really a theremin. But I like them both. I like this one and my other theremin. Both good kids. But this one has some effects that are built in, so it's got some reverb and delay that can just be really easily added to it. And then it's got a whole bunch of programmable synth patches. So like Ooh, that's kind of cool. Let's see, what are some... This one's called All Your Bass.
Ooh.
And then for a lot of these, depends how you program it, but for a lot of these, like a filter sweep will be programmed to the volume antenna instead of the volume. Volume can be kind of tricky to control depending on the patch. So that's a consideration. There isn't any volume control on here, which was kind of something frustrating. I did a live score to a Fringe production last year, and not being able to control my own volume to kind of like mix with the piano player with me was kind of a challenge. So if there's like a synthesizer thing where like I don't have control over the volume because of this, that can kind of get weird during performance. Do you have questions?
Use like a guitar volume control pedal to control the volume.
Oh, maybe. I haven't tried. Could try it. Yeah, I have control over like the practice speaker, but if I'm using the line out, I don't. So if I had, some other, attenuating something in the mix that is easy to get to, I can do that. But there also can't be a whole lot of stuff that will get in the way of the magnetic field. So that's another thing to think about, like when staging it. It kind of needs to be about 5 feet away from everything else. Or if anything is around it, it can't move, or it'll change. Like how close together the pitches are for me. And if you move stuff, then you kind of have to recalibrate it and make it happy again. So those are some really unique considerations when thinking about live performance for it, for sure.
What about notating it for composers? Any things they should do differently? That obviously there'd be like a lot of glissandos if they want it.
Glissandos, it does really great. I read music, so probably like a piano staff is probably good. Cool.
Can we assume a glissando if we didn't write one in? Like if it's quarter note, like up high and quarter note down low, it's basically
No.
Or is it?
So let me get this back to.
You had one that was kind of breaking up each pitch, I feel like.
So you can articulate. It's. It's just much easier to do. It just lends itself to that. So, like, I can do jumps. I'm not super confident with.
I feel like that's
accuracy.
Not the first instrument you would want to do a jump with, right? If you needed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like. Yeah, if you want to. That depends on how well in practice I am. If I would probably like to be on the safe side of hitting the right thing, I would probably slide in between.
Totally,
But
totally.
that's less the instrument's fault and more mine. So.
But more stepwise is just gonna be easier.
More stepwise will be easier. Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doing something like, So large or strange intervals are going to be trickier to deal with because there's no pitch reference, so it's all muscle memory. So it's like this is about an octave. And so if and then even just going back is tricky. So. I'm also not in practice right now, so I apologize for that. Better than we could do.
That's awesome.
Way to go.
Cool.
Well,
So like if you were going to make a sound that would be similar to saying someone like is racing or tumbling down a hall, to mimic a character doing that, what would you
racing or tumbling down a hall.
Yes.
Use it more as a sound effect, I guess.
With
Use a sound effect.
Yeah.
with the regular sound or with choosing something.
Choosing something that you would want to do for that. I mean, you have the typical,
Yeah.
you know. What do you think?
I would have to kind of test out. If I wanted to do like a synth effect, I'd have to kind of test them out and maybe go over them with a composer to see, hey,
It's
do you,
not something
do you
you
like
do.
this one?
You wouldn't be changing around in the middle of a performance. You're going to stick to one.
I could switch them, but some of the practical concerns for performance would be volume, because sometimes depending on how like a synthesizer patch is programmed in here, it could be really quiet compared to something else, and so it's like, oh, this part of a piece wants this one, and this part of a piece wants this one. If they're really divergent, I wouldn't want to like blow a speaker or do something that was not expected. I mean, and that comes down to like, can do it, but it's rehearsal, and do I have time to kind of mark a volume knob or something like that. Yeah, not having a volume knob like on here is I wish I did. So. And that's again if I use this one too. If I have my other one that's more like my classical Theremin.
All right.
You can do a little
Thanks,
dance
Caly.
thing for us, or
What?
You can do a little freestyle.
Freestyle. I don't know. This is also not the one that I practice on the most, so like I did a little video for you, so that one might be a little bit
Yeah.
more indicative.
Hey.